Welcome to that loving voice. Welcome to that loving voice. Welcome back, everybody. I hope you're doing well today. As you know, my name is Tegan. I'm the founder of That Loving Voice. Thank you for your donations. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for commenting below if you have any questions, concerns, special requests. For example, you can email me anytime at thatlovingvoice@gmail.com. And don't be shy. We'll get to it. So today we are going to continue our mini-series here in preparation for the library curriculum, which will be later posted to my website at lovingvoice.com. We are continuing our series on backbending. So today we're going to look at a very basic backbend that is more so like a lunge. And if you can, we will explore lifting the back leg. But that can be very challenging for some, especially in terms of the hamstring. It may cause cramping if you throw yourselves into it. So just be wary of that from the get-go. Please consult your doctor genuinely if you have any ailments that or concerns that make you question whether or not practicing yoga is going to be good for you. And please know that I cannot be responsible for any injury that might occur. This is why it's your responsibility to reach out and see a qualified professional that you trust in order to just give you a check mark if you should be practicing here. So when you're ready, I always like to have my strap handy. I'm not sure we're going to use it too much today. We might dive back into some of the initial practice we had done with it last week. And you'll need your block as well as a blanket. If you don't have one already, I encourage you just to go run and grab one now. You'll want that for our practice today. So when you are ready to start, we can just set our block aside. You can set your strap aside and come down onto the back. Let the arms relax down by your side. And if you want to carry through with that same theme, which I encourage you to do so, you can bring the arms close to the body. The palms can be facing up. And you just sort of slide the shoulder blades towards one another, but not down the back. We can bend the knees here. The feet are under the knees. And we're just going to rest like this for a few moments. So I invite you now to close the eyes. Let the forehead soften. Let the tongue, let the jaw soften. Let the lips become soft. And you can exhale, catch the breath. You can allow the bones to be heavy and the muscles soften away from the bone. And we allow the exhalation to draw us into that fourth part of the breath, the pause, which is very still. Until the inhalation triggers and we swell the torso with air. Leaning into that pause at the peak of the inhalation. And we observe this four-part breath in its natural state. Therefore, there's no need to change or manipulate the breath. Rather, we just allow the breath to breathe us. And finding that place of trusting this natural breath. And the breath is so beautiful because it is a function of the body that we can control. But it also occurs automatically without having to do anything. It is also an automatic response. So the trick becomes allowing the breath to be automatic as you are observing it in its fullness. When I did my teacher training, I was told that we should observe the breath for 1 year minimum before we attempt any pranayama, as it's called, which is, more advanced breath practices. It is critical to get to know the breath first, almost like you get to know a stranger or like you know your brother and sister. You begin to be surprised at first with a stranger about what they might do in a certain circumstance, about how they might respond, about where they might hold tension, about how long, how profound they are, or rather how superficial they might be. Is this new person, this stranger, once you start to get to know them, you might notice for example, that they have tics almost, quirks. They do things you had never notice that you had never perceived before. And then as you get to know the person, you begin to trust them, trusting their response, knowing what they might do in advance, predicting a reaction. For example, in our series here on forgiveness, are you the type of person who holds a grudge? Many of us are, including me. It's very human. How does the breath respond during the face of unforgiveness? Maybe there's a tightness. Maybe you hold the breath. Maybe you clench the jaw. Maybe you begin to breathe through the teeth. I invite you this week to start exploring that reaction, the reaction of your breath, as if the breath were its own person. And today I invite you into the mantra. Of course, if you wish to engage with my mantra, inhaling forgiveness, exhaling is freedom. Inhale, forgiveness is freedom. And leaning into that natural breath. No need to change or manipulate the breath. Let the breath breathe you. And let this truth, forgiveness, is freedom. Allow this to soak your spirit with promise, with enlightenment, revelation, with complete and total forgiveness. With peace and love, with detachment from harm, and a complete freedom in forgiveness. When I say this mantra, forgiveness on the inhale is on the pause, freedom on the exhale. When you're ready, you can begin to wiggle the toes. And the fingers, the hands. And now we're going to do a very basic exercise here with the spine. So I'll show it to you. Now be careful with your neck as you slightly turn to watch me. But here now, I'm going to pretend my pelvis is like a big bowl filled with water. And I can pour water into the bowl of the pelvis like this right now. So this is just the image in this moment. Now I'm going to exhale and as if there was a grape under the lower back, I'm going to flatten my lower back and my bowl of the pelvis is going to tilt as if it were spilling water onto my belly. Now inhaling, I come back to center. And I arch now the lower back as if this bowl of water was spilling onto my heels. Exhaling, the bowl rocks back. I flatten that grape on the ground and I spill water towards the belly. Inhaling, the bowl comes back to center and then spills water onto my heels as I have space here now under my back. Exhaling, and you get the idea. I crush the grape, spill water onto the belly. So it's like a cat-cow, but I'm on my back. And you can see, if you look at my neck, as I exhale, the chin sort of lifts naturally. I'm pushing the spine up. And as I inhale, the chin sort of naturally pulls in towards the chest as water spills onto my heels. So I invite you to carry on with this exercise. Observing so plainly how the pelvis has so much to do with the action of the spine. I invite you to notice how the abdomen supports these actions. And then I invite you to apply your mantra if you haven't already. Forgiveness is freedom. Let the breath be like a wave. Let it be long, slow, and natural. And we'll come back to neutral now. Now scooch the heels under the knees. You may be able to touch the heels if you have long arms. If not, that's okay. Now remember to walk the shoulder blades together. You can turn the palms up here if you want. The neck is nice and healthy and long. Now I can press into my feet, I press into my arms, and I am going to lift my pelvis off the ground, lifting the hips up. Now I can have a gentle flex of the buttocks, but I'm not squeezing the buttocks here. I'm actually pressing into the feet, pressing into the arms, using the action from the shoulders all the way down the spine. My buttocks are sort of medium engaged, but I also notice that the quadriceps and the hamstrings are engaged. So now I'm going to exhale and slowly release. And I'm going to prepare to do that again. Now I can take an inhale. And exhaling, I press into the feet, press into the arms, lift the hips. Now, remember not to over flex the buttocks, especially because we want the thighs to be parallel. So my feet are parallel as well. And I use the strength of the upper arms to ground the shoulders down. I press the shoulders, or the upper arms really, the humerus bones, into the ground, walking the shoulders slightly towards one another, lifting the hips by pressing into the feet. I'll notice my quads, my buttocks, and the hamstrings are engaged here, as well as the muscles of the back body. I can exhale, release, and remember I was not over squeezing the buttocks. So now I'm going to gently release and I'm going to roll to the side. Coming onto all fours, my fingers are spread. My knees are under the hips. And now from here, I'm going to find my cat-cow. I reapply this mantra. Exhale. Inhale, freedom is. Exhaling, forgiveness. We carry on. Finding your own rhythm. Matching that breath with the movement. Really indulging in the movements of the spine, one vertebrae at a time. Now we're going to come back to center. We lengthen the left leg long. So I'm a little off my mat. Now, as if I was balancing a glass of water, so you see my left hip's not hiked up. It's anchored down, straight line from the heel now to the crown of the head thereabouts. This might be enough for me. I engage here through my core lifting, so I'm not like back bending right now. But I have a neutral spine. This isn't an exercise for my core. If I'm capable, I lift that heel, but you see my toes are pointing straight to the ground. So the foot's not turning out, not turning in. But I can balance a glass of water on my pelvis. Now let's actually try that with a block. Now it's quite a big block, so I don't know if you'd really qualify, but nonetheless, as I exhale and come down, I'm still stable here through the back of the pelvis. You see that? So we're going to switch legs. Exhaling. Now I can lift this back heel and my block stays where it is. Notice as well the length of my spine and the engagement of the core, in particular through the obliques here. And yeah, even through the rectus abdominis as I sort of lift through the belly button to support the spine. Remember my toes here, the long leg is pointed towards the floor, and I'm not collapsing in the shoulders. I'm broad, and my chin is towards the throat. I exhale, I come back down to center. Now I'm going to switch legs. We'll do that one more time. And the option is yours if you, A, want to lift at all, but B, if you want to lengthen the opposite arm. Now, we're going to fight for this so that we're not collapsing. Stay broad, open through the back of the heart. Continue to lift and engage through the core. Remember to fight for those left toes pointing straight to the ground. And the pelvis is neutral. Remember, I'm not collapsing into this left arm either. If I'm winging, like I have chicken wings on my shoulders, broaden through the back of the heart and let the scapula be anchored on the back. We exhale, release. And we switch sides. Lift through the core. Open through the back of the heart, chin towards the throat. From here, I can consider lifting that back foot. Toes stay towards the ground, and we switch now. The opposite arm comes forward. So again, if I'm falling here through the shoulder blades, I'm not even going to bother lifting that arm. I'm just going to come and anchor myself here because I probably don't have the strength just yet. And that's okay. That strength will come as you broaden through the back of the shoulder blades here first, gain that strength, and then you can consider lifting. Now, you might even want to consider just lifting one hand up off the ground, maybe floating it a little forward, because as soon as you start to open here through the arm, you might actually start crunching through the back of the neck, and you don't want that. You want to stay broad and large, pressing the fingers down, open through the back of the heart, nice long spine. Now we can exhale, release. Now, if you were using a little block here, congrats. Mine started to slide off there a little bit. Now we're going to take hold of our blanket and apply these wonderful teachings from for our child's pose, okay? Actually, I do like it like this. So I'm going to take my blanket and start folding a little ridge, and from here, I'm going to keep that firm ridge as I start to roll. Now, you don't want your blanket to be like all like squished around, and you want to have a nice round edge. And then bring the knees together so I'm not externally rotating too much. Now, there's a time and a place for that in child's pose, but for now, we are not externally rotating. We are internally rotating here through the legs in particular. And we're going to lift the belly up over this round ridge and let the spine round here. Now, if you have your block, as you know, you can use it under the forehead, under the chest, however you need. I just ask, if you're using it under the forehead, look at my spine. I'm not doing this. My chin is not lifted, right? The same principles. I let there be a straight curve from the scapula, or excuse me, the sacrum bone all the way through to the crown of the head. So even the neck is part of that rounded rainbow curve. You see, chin stays towards the throat. I let the shoulder blades just slide down the back and away from the ears. So here, this posture right now has a few functions. It starts to just release through the spine in a healthy way, because we're going to be just engaging with some flexion and extension of the spine today. But also, it helps to prepare the hips for what is going to come next. It continues to ground the femur bones back, like we have done in our first mini series. And this action in particular is so healthy for the back of the pelvis because of the neutrality through which the femur bones are settling into the base of the pelvis here. I have a bad left hip. It tends to crack a lot, and it causes problems in my lumbar spine, believe it or not, through the tension that's created in the musculature. And this posture just saves me some days because it helps to balance the femur bones in the pelvis and broaden through the back of the pelvis. Oh, it's just a wonderful posture. So good. So now I've spent a lot of time talking. I hope you were listening, but I hope you can apply your mantra here too. Forgiveness is freedom. Now I'm happy to see you starting to relax into this posture, but keep the integrity of the spine. Don't crunch through the shoulders or the neck. And if you're having trouble breathing, then just ease up a little bit. If you feel your legs going numb, you could maybe add a second blanket to make your blanket a little bit thicker. Actually, on that note, now these are like additional teachings. This is a second blanket here. It's not going to be perfect, but you could even do things like this to help round through the spine, you see? But we'll get to that in another class. So when you're ready now, let the action start from the base of the spine here down by the hips. Roll up one vertebrae at a time. Now bring your hands behind the back. And like we worked on in our last session, let the elbows be soft, shoulders draw down, chin stays towards the throat. As you gently squeeze the shoulder blades together and let the heart open forward. Now, if you have a hard time reaching your hands to the ground, just stay up here on your fingers, and you could actually bring your hands to the buttocks. But again, try to squeeze those elbows towards the center. This might be enough for you. That's okay. Wherever you are, just let those shoulder blades gently start to slide towards one another. Keep the elbows in alignment with the shoulders and prevent them from splaying out. Prevent the shoulders from rounding. But really let that shrugging back action occur as the heart now sort of opens and we extend here through the thoracic spine, the spine that's behind the heart. Now we're going to exhale, coming back to center. We're going to remove our little blanket. Just set it aside for now. And now we're going to exhale to a down dog. We can find that mantra once again. Forgiveness is freedom. Press the thigh bones away. Let the breath be full and natural. Relax the back of the neck. Now we'll look to the hands. We'll take a step or a jump forward. We can inhale, lifting the chin to a flat back. You can always use those hands here. Exhale, releasing down. Heart rises first. We inhale, swoop the arms up. Exhale, hands down to center. Now we're going to anchor through the feet. Inhale, the arms lift, or you can bring them forward. We exhale now down to a chair pose. So this is preparing us here in the action of the spine. So I do, as you can see, have a little gentle back bend. Now, we can practice the chair pose in a more neutral spine. That's perfectly fine, perfectly healthy. But today, for our purposes, we're actually going to let that spilling action of the pelvis spill onto the heels a little bit, just to start engaging here through the back body. Now we press into the feet, almost as if we were ripping the mat open from the center. So we're starting to engage also in the hips. Now we're going to inhale, lift. Exhale, float the heart forward to a neutral spine. And we exhale, releasing down. Inhale to a flat back. Exhale, release. Inhale, lift. Now from here, sorry, my head's cut off. Exhale the hands to center. Now we're going to clasp the hands behind the back. And because we practiced only 2 days ago, your strap, it might still be in that same shoulder width position. If it is, you're welcome to use it here. You can hold the strap, or you can even just hold it shoulder width, all right? So this is optional, but we're going to shrug those shoulders again down the back. Now, float the heart forward as we exhale, engage the core, so I have quite a neutral spine here. Now as I encourage the belly to float to the thighs, I can exhale, lifting the hands. So it might be enough for you, as we practiced last class, just to shrug the shoulders down the back here in a neutral spine. That might be perfect for you. Continue to draw the shoulder blades together, lengthen them down the back, keep the chin towards the throat. So there's actually quite an openness that's happening here in the shoulder area if you look at me like this. If you're more flexible, you can lengthen the arms overhead. I prefer to bring the palms like facing one another. And I prefer to engage the shoulders and then relax them. For me, this just helps to discover the action a little bit more fully. Now, we can exhale the hands back, inhale, rise all the way up. Now here, we're just going to turn the face to one side, stretching through the chest. Come back to center, switch, so just drawing that ear to the shoulder. And we'll switch again. It's up to you if you want to find your own sweet spot here. And we switch again. Now we'll come back to center. We can exhale, releasing our strap. And we inhale, rise. Exhale, coming back to the chair. Now again, it might be enough for you to lengthen the arms overhead, so that's perfectly fine. So here my pelvic floor is open. I continue to zip through the core, but I do find that spilling forward action here in the pelvis, so that I'm certainly not tucking my tail, but that at least the pelvis is neutral, if not slightly pouring forward. Again, I press into the feet, engaging the quads as if I was ripping my mat in half the long way. I inhale, rise. Exhale, swan diving, releasing down. Inhale, flat back. Now my hands come down. I can take my step or I can jump to my plank. Now I'm going to practice that same quotient we had worked on our knees and on our hands. So here as I hold my plank, I'm broad through the back body. I lift through the abdomen. My tailbone is heavy. And my toes, of course, they're pointing straight to the floor. Chin stays in towards the throat. I can always be on my knees if that helps. I could even be a little higher on my knees if that helps. But eventually we're going to want to work our way towards a full plank. And I'm glad for those of you who've stayed with me here in this plank. Okay, so now you notice my hands are a little forward. I'm going to float my chest so my hands are underneath the shoulders. Shrug the shoulders together, soften the elbows back, engage the core, exhale down. Now I'm going to bring my hands under the elbows, shrug the shoulders together, chin towards the throat as I lift the chest. Now, glue the big toes together. And it's that same principle. We do not want to overflex the buttocks. If you look at me and I overflex the buttocks, I tend to turn my feet out. So I'll show you what that looks like. So my big toes are actually pointing towards one another. Can you see? Kind of. Oh, okay, nonetheless. If I overflex the buttocks, the toes tend to point out. We don't want to see that. We want them to draw in, okay? Stay here. Integrity through the shoulder blades, through the core. Now we're going to bring the hands down. Those of you who follow me in my live classes, like at the Y or wherever, you're very familiar with this. Press the elbows down. Engage the core. Lift into this nice full plank here. Engage the quads. Now we're going to exhale. We're going to come back down. Hands again float under the elbows, but we're pressing up this time. Shoulders stay down the back, so I'm not crunching the shoulder blades. Lift all the way up. If I can, I flex here the quads. Exhale to your downward dog. Find your mantra. Forgiveness is freedom. Now we're going to inhale that right foot forward. How much time do we have? All right, so we're going to draw this knee down. So if you have your blanket, I encourage you to place it under the knee. All right, so that we can have a bit more support. Now we're going to turn this back toe onto the ground. This is going to help. This is going to help. Okay, so we're going to start here with a 90-degree angle. 90, 90. We're just going to lift the arms overhead and balance, all right? So we're actually have a neutral spine here. Nothing new special, nothing too special, nothing too spectacular. But you can feel probably that there's actually a good stretch happening here through the quad. And there's an engagement that's happening through the core, through the leg, and a stabilizing action. Now, I'm going to walk this right foot forward. And I'm going to float my hips forward now this time. So now I'm starting to find a new sensation, probably in the IT band of this front, or sorry, this bottom leg. And be very mindful, I want to keep that internal rotation happening on this back leg so that this toe is not turning out, but that we're keeping to draw inwards as I now start to open here a bit more. So I'm stretching now a little more through the hands, or the hip flexor, excuse me, through the lower abdomen. And now I'm going to exhale my hands to center on the inside of the leg. And I'm going to soften through that right hip crease. So you can't even see my right leg here because my hands and my torso are in the way. But you want that knee on top of the foot, on top of the ankle. And you want to soften into that hip crease. Now we're going to tuck this back toe, lift up, and eventually we're going to draw this back leg back to center. Okay, we're going to exhale down, float the chest forward, soften the elbows back. Now you can remove your blanket. You can come to a little cobra here or an upward dog. But we're coming right back down to our down doggy, so there's no worries. Forgiveness is freedom. Now we're going to float this blanket to the other side, draw that knee down, and the left foot comes forward. So again, I find that 90 degrees, 90 degrees. I'm going to inhale, lift the arms. So now I'm balancing, and this back foot is going to just soften down. So here I have my neutral spine. And remember, I can always bring my hands down to the hips if that helps. My tailbone is heavy here. I might be finding that sensation through the quad, through the belly, through the hip, maybe even. And especially through the arms, if my arms are lifted. Nice full breaths. Now I'm going to walk this left foot forward. And keeping that internal rotation, I'm just going to float the hips forward. So now I'm starting to soften here in this hip crease, hollowing that thigh bone back, but maintaining that internal rotation of this back leg. Okay, so the toes are still anchored down. The foot is not splaying out. So here again, I engage through the core as I start to find a little bit more of a back bend in this posture. Forgiveness is freedom. I can exhale my hands down on the inside here. Now again, you can ease up as you need. You might need a block here to help support you under the hands a little bit more. Not everybody is this flexible. That's okay. Accommodate your own body. And when you're ready, you can tuck those those toes and sort of lift up and exhale to your plank. Now you can remove your blanket here if you want, or you can just float forward, doing your push-up, finding your cobra or upward dog variation. We're going to do a whole series on the chaturanga upward dog. And exhale back to your down doggy. 5 breaths. Forgiveness is freedom. Press the thigh bones away. Hollow those groins. reach the hips away from the head, away from the hands. Now we're going to look to the hands and step or jump forward. Inhale, lift the chin, flat back. Exhale, releasing down. Inhale to rise. Now, exhale the hands to center. In preparation for our climax pose today, I'm just going to offer you an option. You can choose to use your strap if you want, but essentially, we're going to anchor down through this foot, this long leg, and I'm going to put my toes behind me. Okay, so I keep a neutral spine here to start. I draw in through the core, and I'm going to lift this back leg on approximately just a 90-degree angle. Okay, that's it. So I'm going to do this without compromising through the belly, without losing my strength, and without losing my integrity of this bottom leg. 2. Now we're going to float here, but if you want to use a strap, then you can take your strap, just bring the loop into the back of the foot. And now we're going to bring those hands just into that same shrugging of the shoulder position. Now bring the loop onto the top of the foot. And I want you to keep that 90-degree angle, keep the integrity of the shoulders, but press away. Okay, so here now I'm engaging through the action of the shoulders, shrugging them together, maintaining the integrity of quite a neutral spine in this particular position. As I press into my strap, I maintain that openness through the chest without dumping in the back. You see that? Engage. Now we're going to exhale, release, and switch legs. So I start just anchoring that right leg down, and I draw those left toes behind. Now here, I'm going to lift this back leg and find that 90-degree angle. Engage the core, tailbone here is heavy. Now I'm going to stay just where I am, just like this. So you can feel the hamstring starting to engage and become active. This is good. Now, if you want, you can add your strap. So we can take that around the foot, press into the top of the foot. Keep this action of the knee in alignment with the other knee. Press into the strap and shrug those shoulders down the back. Engage the core so that I'm not dumping through the lower back or spewing forward with the belly. Hug the shoulder blades together as I press this foot to the ground, so to speak, with this leg still on a 90-degree angle. So from here, I can sort of start to press the hips a little bit forward. And this is where the back bend will come from, is that pressing of the hips slightly forward, maintaining this shrugging back with the shoulders. Okay, we'll exhale now. Release. So you can keep this strap here. Again, it's optional. We inhale, lift, exhale, swan diving, releasing down. Inhale. Exhale, hands come down. Take your step or jump to your plank. You can chaturanga if you need. Exhaling. Inhaling. Exhaling back. One nice full breath here. Now we're going to inhale this right foot forward. We're going to take this blanket again under the knee. So now we have these two options. Now I warned you at the beginning of practice, this is why we did this last engagement here through the hamstring. It's because I don't want you to flick this heel up and then get a cramp. Okay, so you can use your strap around the foot if you want, but it may not be necessary. So for those of you who are good right here, then I encourage you just to float these hips forward. Start finding that back bending by drawing the hips forward as I suggested, without dumping here in the belly, but continue to engage. You see that almost like a neutral spine. We have to learn to engage here through the six pack as we back bend. It's so critical for spinal support. So this is our climax posture, believe it or not. And if you want, you could consider lifting the hands. Now, it's probably very unnecessary to use the strap, but if you did want to engage here through that back leg, then I encourage you just to engage here through the hamstring to lift this back heel. Clasp the hands together. But again, maintain that shrugging action of the shoulder, that engagement through the lower belly as you float the hips forward. You see that? So this is your back bend if you're interested in lifting this back leg. And if not, then just stay right where you were. Now that I'm here, I'll stay. Now remember, this can also create a lot of tension on the knee. So if you have knee pain, it might not be worth it to do this posture. You can just let go of that leg and come right back to where we were in our initial back bend. So we'll take one more inhale. Exhale down. Hands come to the center. Lifting. Exhale. Nice full breath here. Inhale. Squeeze the elbows together. Exhale down now. Finding your cobra or your up dog variation as you see fit. Exhaling back. So now we're starting to find more yoga, right? We're starting to get into these principles, into these rhythms. Starting to apply them with more autonomy, with more decision making that works for you. Now we're going to exhale the left foot forward. Right knee comes down onto your blanket. Turn that top of the foot down. So we'll start here, hands on the hips. Now we're just going to walk this foot forward and find that action like the sacrum bone is drawing forward here as now I find my little gentle back bend. Engage through the core, let the tailbone still be heavy. So the pelvis is almost decently neutral here as I find this action in the spine. Now, if I'm good here, then I'll stay right here where I am. But if I want, I can consider engaging this back leg and find this shrugging action of the shoulders engage through the base of the belly, the core, as the hips draw forward. The elbows are soft, so they're not hyperextended, right? Squeeze those elbows to center, shoulder blades draw towards one another. Forgiveness is freedom. We can release and exhale. Calming down. Now, floating forward, holding this nice plank pose. Float the chest over the hands, soften the elbows down, shrug the shoulders together, chin towards the throat, lift the core. Exhale, now coming to the belly. Hands under the elbows, big toes together. Press into the hands to lift. Flex the quads. Heart opens through the door of the arms. Chin stays towards the throat here. I lift up and out of my turtle shell. Exhale back. Downward facing dog. Press the thigh bones away. Forgiveness is freedom. Now I'm going to exhale, my knees come down. And I'm going to take this blanket once again. I'm going to fold it as I find my little child's pose here. And remember your needs. So if you need more, you might even want another one, which you could turn kind of like this under the ribs. So I could have a full blanket here like that, and then a smaller one sort of under the belly. Experiment and find what works for you. Your goal is to let the spine be round and to let the thigh bones drop away. It's too much for me. It's pressing into my rib cage. So maybe we'll do a little video where I'll have a person, a demonstration, and I can show you different ways we can do this. Now we let the spine round naturally. Again, from the base of the spine all the way to the crown. So let the neck be rounded too as the chin comes towards the throat. Now you can always bring your hands behind the back if that helps. The knees are together. Find that mantra. Now we're going to roll up one vertebrae at a time. I'm sorry, I told you we needed only one blanket and then I ended up using two. Now I have a studio with like 100 blankets. So maybe next time, actually 3. I'll show you how to use all 3 of those blankets. So now we'll take our blanket, we'll fold it, and remember if you have a book or a block that's stable, you can use that instead to help support the buttocks here as you come into a little seated posture. Now I'm actually going to make my blanket a little bit higher by folding it into 3s. So then I'll come sit on it, and I can let my sitting bones sort of fall off, but the flesh stays on. Now, I'm just going to place one leg down, and this other leg can just be here relaxed. So it looks like this. All right. So now the option is yours. You can choose if you want to do an open twist or a closed twist. A closed twist would look like the opposite elbow to the opposite knee. You might need a bit more space. And an open twist is the same side, okay? So whatever you want, I'm gonna do a closed twist here today. So that means I'll anchor my left hand down, the left leg is bent. I inhale my right arm. Wherever you are, let the spine grow long. The shoulders draw down the back, the chest is open. As you press into your elbow and the knee to open. Let that left hip be hollow, the thigh bone heavy. The spine grows long. Engage through the core to lift the spine up. Breathe fully. And now we'll exhale. Releasing, and we'll switch sides. Same variation. So for me, I'll anchor that right hand down, lift the left. Grow long in the spine. Chin stays towards the throat. Thigh bone is heavy. Bottom leg pressing down to support. Now we can exhale, gently releasing. Keep that spine long. And now we'll finish with a forward bend. So the option again is yours. I encourage you to start here with the knees bent, especially if you're less flexible. Let the belly lift up towards the thighs, and then just let the head relax down. So chin comes towards the throat. If you can reach the knees, then that's okay. You can let the spine round like this. But no big deal. If you're right here, that's fine. Just keep the chin towards the throat. And if you know your body and you're a little more advanced, then you could consider lengthening the legs. Let the buttocks fall off your support just slightly so that the sitting bones are grounded, but that the butt is still nice and fleshy on your support. Then let the belly fold forward here. Same principle. You don't pull, but you let the spine round evenly from the base of the pelvis to the crown of the head. Ground the femur bones down. Hollow the groins back. Are you saying your mantra? Now we can let the head be heavy. We'll roll up one vertebrae at a time. Really indulge in that. And now we'll come to center and prepare for Shavasana. Ooh. So if you have your blanket, you can fold it back open into somewhat of a square and just use this under the head. If you have a second blanket, you can use this to cover the body. If you have a third blanket, we could do more. Maybe under the knees, under the feet, you could wrap the feet. We'll get to that another time in more advanced teachings. If you have socks or a sweater, you can put them on as well. And now for those of you who are doing this video who don't know what Shavasana is, it's corpse pose. You just open the legs equidistant from the body center line. And you let the body totally relax down. And you open the arms equidistant from the body center line. This is your corpse pose or Shavasana. Now you let every bone in the body become heavy. Let every muscle become soft. Let the face, the tongue, the jaw release. And you catch the breath. Forgiveness is freedom. Forgiveness is freedom. Forgive. Forgive, the from love. Does not forgive. Forgiveness. The heart of love is forgiveness. The heart of love. Forgiveness is freedom. You can begin to wiggle the fingers or the toes. And deepening the breath in the body. You can rock the thighs. And eventually bend one knee at a time. You can roll to the side and using the arm as a pillow, I invite you to take a moment to give thanks for one thing you are grateful for. When you're ready, you can let the head be heavy and roll up into a seated posture. Coming to sit up on your block, let the spine be long. Apply these teachings and acquire longevity and sustainability in your body. We can close our practice bringing the hands to the heart. God bless you. Thank you for participating in that loving voice. Please share, please like, please subscribe. And I'll see you again next time.